All right, 2026 is here. I wanted to start off the new year with a topic, honestly, I'm pretty passionate about because this is something I struggled with in my own business. It's something that I see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. It's something that I see a lot of people struggle with, honestly. And that is being productive versus being busy. And unfortunately, most people are busy versus being productive. And again, if y'all are new here, my name is Justin Block. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor, and I recently was a part of my family's food and beverage manufacturing company, which I helped build and exit for the second time last year because, again, we're in 2026 now. New year, new videos, starting off this one with a cool business video. And yeah, honestly, I'll just go flat out and say it real quick. I think busyness is a disease in 2026. If you are busy, you have a disease in 2026. That's my statement. And what I mean by this is there are so many times in our lives where we think we're doing stuff, right? We're sending the emails, we're taking the meetings, we think we're moving the needle, but we're really not. We're just doing things to do the thing, and we feel productive, but our outcomes aren't what we want. And I see this a lot of time in businesses. I saw it in our business, and I'll give you guys a real example. So in any business, right, you're gonna have projects that you got to work on. And so we had this really big project for the business, something that would have, honestly, it will affect the business. It would have affected the business for many years to come, right? And then we had all these little projects below it, and I found our team one day. I was walking to the office and I found them. They were like, "Hey, Justin, can you come here?" And I was like, "All right, what's up?" And we went through the project list, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like we have so many projects," which is a good problem to have, you think, right? And I'm like, "Guys, how are we focusing on all this stuff?" And they said, "We're sort of not, because we're staying here till 8, 9 p.m. at night every night for the past 3 months." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, we've been here for super late for the past 3 months." And they were sort of taking some pride in it. And I was like, "Guys, you need to go home and get some rest." And they were like, "No, we have too much to do. We don't have enough time." And I said, "We all have the same amount of time. We're just not prioritizing correctly." And so what we ended up doing was created this basically a giant priority list of our project based on size of the business, what kind of bottom line it would bring to the business, the volume, all that kind of stuff, right? And so we had our move the needle projects, which were our top projects, our boulder projects, and then I forget what we called it, a third tier, but it was just like a third tier stuff. And so move the needle, which we'd focus a lot of time on. Boulders would still focus a good amount of time on, but other stuff would be maybe an hour or two a week. And I'm telling you guys this because, excuse me, I'm telling you all this because I, as someone who is looking out for my team and the best interest of the company, I was like, this is cool. They take pride in this. They want to there's ownership here. That's great. But also part of me's thinking, are we just doing things just to get by? Like, who do we need to hire to help with this kind of stuff so we can be more productive? What kind of tools, technologies do we need to implement so we don't have to have them stay till 8, 9 o'clock at night? And eventually I was just thinking far out, and I was like, I don't want us to become so sleep deprived or just messy where we send the wrong sample to the wrong customer, or we do something messed up, which honestly has happened before, which I don't like to admit. And I was like, "Guys, what are we doing here?" And they're like, "Well, we have all these emails coming in, and then we're supply chain's doing this in XYZ," and it was a mess. And so we all got together. Eventually, we figured it out, but we had to hire some folks to help us out. We had to distribute some of the responsibilities because it's cool to say I'm working late and all that kind of stuff, but there's more to life than business. And I think if you are an entrepreneur, especially if you're in the beginning season of your entrepreneurship, sure, there's going to be seasons where you got to grind it out and the hours are required, the man hours are required. But as you grow, I'm sure you didn't get into this business so you could work your tail off 24/7. You probably got into the business and started the company so you could buy back some of your time and get some more freedom. At least that's what 99% of the entrepreneurs I know did. And obviously, we all love the business aspect of things for the most part. But the emails and the working the long hours and the marketing and all that stuff and the stuff that takes all the man hours that you didn't think you had to do but you ended up doing, or that your team's doing, it's just not smart. In 2026, there's AI. You can hire virtual assistants. There's so many things that you can do to clear your calendar and have time to think, because thinking time is very productive. And whenever I meet entrepreneurs and they're telling me, I'm like, "How's life?" Right? And they say busy. Or I meet someone and they say, "How?" And I'm like, "How's life?" And they say busy. I automatically know their life sort of sucks, because the words you use really matter. Busy is not productive. If I hear someone say I'm productive, I'm like, "All right, dude, show me your calendar. What you doing?" Right? But most people just say, "Oh, busy, I'm getting by." but they're in meeting after meeting. Their projects get pushed out. They're sending emails late. They don't have time to just chill out and relax because, like I was saying earlier, if I meet these people, I sort of equate it. Let's just use the entrepreneur because they're probably working harder. This whole thing is about working smarter, not harder. That's what this video is about. You still got to work hard, but working smarter is the key to success 2026 moving forward. And so I meet these entrepreneurs and they say I'm busy, right? I equate that to I am just staying in the gym 8 hours a day instead of being in the gym for 1 or 2 hours and getting an excellent workout and then having the rest of my day to recover. Because your muscles don't grow when you're just constantly working out, right? Your business is not going to grow when you're constantly just doing a bunch of BS. It's going to grow when you have those strategic meetings a few hours a day, and then the rest of the time you can think and have time to execute and put people in places to succeed. It's not just go, 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 go. It's going to take the time to think about what A players do I got to hire? What kind of products do I got to ship out? What do I need to do? Who do I got to become? What can I outsource? You got to find time to think, because if your calendar's just full, I know if you're my competitor, I'm going to smoke you. And it might not be right now, but in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because you're just going to burn out. I guarantee it. If you are not finding time to think, you're not going to be successful. If you're not finding time to think, which will lead you to productivity, you're not going to be successful. And if you think about the best of the best, right? Let's use Warren Buffett. This dude literally works like 2 hours a day, maybe. He just reads the rest of the time. He's reading like 8 hours a day. And he's making one good decision a year. So do you think you have to constantly send emails? And I get it, like, to a certain extent, volume does matter, and you do got to send out some emails, and you got to make those calls at the beginning. But just because you are the entrepreneur, again, assuming you are the entrepreneur watching this, you don't have to do it all. Can you hire someone to help you? Again, if you're at the beginning stages, this might be a little different, but start thinking like that. What do I gotta get to, so when I do get there, I can reinvest this into a person or a resource where I can buy back some of my time, so I can gain more leverage on myself in the business, that I can pull this lever and it can just catapult us even further. But no one's thinking like this. How can I create an asset that compounds versus how can I just do the stuff just to do the stuff, feeling productive? But no one, it's dumb. I was texting a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, how are things going? He's like, dude, I'm busy, I'm grinding. And he's like, what are you up to? And I said, I'm not busy. And I told him, dude, being busy does not equal being productive. And the little iMessage bubble? He was typing it, it disappeared. He was typing it, it disappeared. And he called me like two minutes later. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean, what do I mean? He's like, what do you mean by being busy doesn't mean you're being productive, right? And I told him just flat out what I told you guys. Dude, I don't track the hours. I track the outputs. Like, I'm thinking strategically, how can I work 2, 3, 4 hours a day and then do whatever else I got to do so I can move the needle forward to where I can get the business to where I want to go, right? Because again, my goal starting the business is not to work 24/7. Just like if you go to the gym, you probably don't want to work out 24/7. You want to spend time doing the things you want to do. You don't want to be doing the admin work, right? For a lot of people like me, I hate the admin stuff. If you put me in front of an Excel sheet, I'm like, ugh. Like, I'd rather be doing anything else. I don't like sending emails. I like hopping on meetings. I like doing calls like this. I like the first 10% of stuff, and I like finishing it out with the last 10% of the high-level stuff. And again, depending on what skill set or season you're at, this is going to be different. But as you get better, you should become more efficient. One of my friends has this technology business, and he had this. I believe he was a coder that worked for him. And he said he was so good. He was so much better than everyone else that he just worked 2 hours a day because he got so much done. He was that good, and he knew how to utilize his time. And the rest of the time, he was either thinking about what he could do to move the business forward. Sometimes he was just chilling. And this dude eventually became the CTO of the business because he was that good, and he thought differently than most people. He wasn't just, let me hop on the meeting, let me send all these emails, let me do this stuff, right? Without a clear objective. He was being strategic. He wasn't shooting with a shotgun. He was shooting with a rifle. But most people are shooting with a shotgun and they burn out. You got to cock this fucking thing and shoot it. Instead, the sniper just sits back and waits, and he gets his target. One shot. And everyone else is just spraying and praying. That's what most entrepreneurs are doing, unfortunately. They are spraying and praying, and it's not smart. And so activity, I get it. It feels safe. It feels like you're doing something. But if you can't measure the outcome, like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? I don't think you got into this game to be busy. None of us want to be. Dude, if you gave me 2 options, like, here, Justin, be super busy and think you're doing stuff and maybe you'll get your outcome, versus you work 2 to 3 hours a day, you have a few meetings a week, and you are crushing it. I know which one I'm picking, and I think I know which one you guys are picking, but most of you guys are stuck here. So there's a good book on this, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He has a system. I would say that's a good thing to read. But again, the outcome needs to be defined first. Like if I want to get to $1 million in sales, for example, I'm not just going to go book a bunch of meetings. I'm going to go book the right meetings. I'm going to go hire the right people who can help me with this stuff. I'm going to hire the assistant that can help me schedule my meetings so I can prepare for my call, so I can have more time to think strategically, so I can do my research. Back to back calls is hell. I've done that. You can't even think straight. If you put me in a meeting for like an hour, and I don't even think most meetings need to be an hour. I think meetings should be 30 minutes or 15 minutes. But say you put me in a meeting for an hour and I'm just sort of drained, and then I got back to back, like your energy is just gone at the end of the day. And business is an energy thing. It's a marathon that never ends. You have to be high energy if you want to win. But a lot of y'all are walking around with low energy because you get zapped by your fucking calendar. And so you need to be strategic here, thinking like, all right, what do I actually need to do here? And again, if this is something that you have never done before, look up stuff online, read books about this stuff, look up videos on YouTube or ask ChatGPT, how can I be more productive? Learn about new AI tools. Again, there's tools right now that are replacing people left and right. There's new CRM systems that are replacing people left and right. There's agents, AI agents right now that I'm still learning about. I'm not an AI expert, but there's agents replacing salespeople. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're not learning this stuff, you're going to get smoked one day because you're still doing all the busy work. I don't know why I did that. You're still doing the busy work, and you're going to get smoked by all these people who are way more efficient, and they are clearing up their calendar, and they're becoming a lot more efficient. They're getting better at their job, and they're finding that time to think, right? And I'll give you all another example. If you have been you've been working really hard, or you've been busy throughout the day, and then you go take a shower, you go take a walk, and you have this awesome idea. This is what this is about. I think it's Rick Rubin or some dude. He literally took like 6 showers a day because he got so many awesome ideas in the shower. It wasn't in his office. That time away is like, it's so productive, but it doesn't feel productive. But you have to switch how you think about things. Well, again, what got you to A is not going to get you to B. Working hard might have gotten you from A to B, but getting from B to C and growing from 10, 20, 30, $50 million, trust me, I've seen this shit. Sometimes you got to let go to grow. Let go to grow. What's a little saying there? Let go to grow. But most of y'all want to hold on and be in the weeds, everything. And to an extent, you should know what's going on in your business. I agree with that. But the activity is not going to, all the activity in the world is not going to get you where you want to go. Again, if you can hire people, that's leverage your point. If you can use AI, that's leverage your point. If you can free up your calendar to go for that strategic meeting, to make that good hire, to find time to research, to find time to think about, is this actually what's going to move the business forward? We hit our goal. How do we double, triple this thing? Right? How can I free up my time? Do I want to take myself out of the business? What do I want again, right? But so many entrepreneurs I meet, I'm busy, man. I'm doing this, and this. Okay, show me your outcome. What has it gotten you? Oh, it hasn't gotten me much yet. I'm like, you're doing the wrong shit. You're literally doing the wrong stuff. And it's cool to say I got a bunch of leads, but I'd rather you have, instead of 100 leads that are just okay, I'd rather have the 5 leads that are fucking awesome and I know are going to close. But everyone's chasing on the numbers versus, it's the same thing, right? Like, this is a funny story. So I met a dude who's successful, right? He's got a big business. And I asked him, I was like, what are you bringing home in your business? He said, I'm doing $1 billion in sales. I said, that's cool. Like, what are you bringing home? And he said, I'm doing $1 billion in sales. And I think he was a distribution business, and those margins are really thin. And it's just like revenue's a vanity metric. You can have all the sales in the world, but if you're not making much money, like, I don't want that business. I'd rather make $20 million, and I'm making way more profit than this dude is, but he can say, I got $1 billion business. He's the really busy big guy, but I'm the efficient lean guy, and I can scale even further. It's this vanity thing that we try to say, and like our ego is all sucked up in this busyness of life, but it's really disease. If you are busy, you have a disease here. Most people have a busyness, not a business. I'll say it again. Most people have a busyness, not a business. If you're busy, you're doing something wrong. You got to take a step back. You got to find out, what do I want to do? Because again, I don't think you guys even like being busy. That's why I'm making this video. It's just a reminder to yourself saying, all the long hours I'm working, is it actually worth it? Is this actually getting me to where I want to go? I'm willing to put a lot of money on. It's probably not. Because again, most businesses aren't great, but a lot of people are busy nowadays. But with AI and 2026 and all these new technologies and people and people that you can outsource to, why are we busier than ever, but we're not achieving our goals? Oh, you got to be doing something wrong. I don't know what else to say there, right? And again, I'm not just speaking out my ass because I've lived this myself. And I learned this pretty quickly where I was like, dude, my calendar is so full. This sucks. And I might have gotten some things done, but I literally was looking at everyone's calendar and I was like, this meeting's bullshit. We don't need this internal meeting. This could have been an email. You know, we have these 3 back-to-back meetings with these customers. It's like, but they're 30, 40, an hour long. And I'm just like, guys, what are we doing here? Because again, these are dollars that I'm spending at the end of the day, hiring and employing people, right? And I'm trying to be efficient with my spending. And it reflects back on them too, because I'm like, guys, if you were more efficient, you can make more money. Like, it's this whole flywheel, right? And so if you're not auditing your calendar, you're going to lose. But so many people's calendars are just filled up and they're just busy with admin work. Like I used to probably get 100 to 200 emails a day, and that was light sometimes. I scaled it much down from where it was. And that takes up so much mental bandwidth and time to read those things, and a bunch of them are just crap. And then plus you add on teams and meetings and travel and dealing with people. It's crazy. So like I had to literally take a step back and I said, guys, don't put me on any emails unless it's like this thing's really an emergency that I have to know. If not, you guys are taking care of it. My emails went down like 75%. Then I had all this time to not do emails and I had a free time on my calendar and I was like, all right, I'm going to audit my meetings now. I don't need to be in this. I don't need to be in this. I don't need to be in this. My calendar got super clear. I have all this free time now. I'm going, all right, now what do I got to do with this free time? Because you can't just have free time and do nothing with it. You got to think about this stuff, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to clear up this free time, but now I'm going to find time to strategically think about how can I move the needle for the business, bring in real fucking dollars to the company versus having a bunch of meetings. How can I walk around the office and talk to people for a few minutes? Let's schedule some check-ins and say, okay, well, guys, show me your calendar. What can I do? How can I do what I did for me to you? And eventually, before you know it, we just optimized really, really well, and we got good. But no one's optimizing. You got to optimize. And trust me, you look at these big CEOs, like the big dogs. Trust me, I ain't a big dog. I'm probably never going to be even competitive with these guys. They're way better entrepreneurs than I'll ever be. And I know a lot of these guys. Dude's doing 9 figures a year, $1 billion a year. Some of these guys are bringing home 9 figures, bottom line, $1 billion, bottom line. Some of them are pretty busy, but some of them calendars are fucking empty. And they might be traveling once a week or whatever, but they have very slow days. They're just thinking all day, basically. They're reading, they're researching. And that's at the highest level. So do you think they got there just by grinding it out all the time? Maybe a little bit, but probably not to scale. They pulled the levers. They utilized the resources, their capital, the code, the AI, the people, content, whatever it is nowadays, right? But we have to think smart. And I genuinely believe 2026 is here. I'll look back on this video. In 5 years, I might not even need to, and probably less than that, I probably won't even need to record this video because AI will be so good, I'll just type in, hey, make a video of me talking about whatever. Like, do I pull myself out of that? I don't know if I would want to do that, but that's going to save me 20 minutes. And eventually I got all my time back. Now it's like, what do I want to do with my time? Because again, I think the real goal is for entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur who loves the work you do, I appreciate you and I respect that. But at the same time, life, again, is bigger than business. You wanted to start the business so you could buy back your time and do the things you actually give a shit about, right? Hanging out with your family, hanging out with your friends, traveling, giving back, being fulfilled, growing, being healthy, right? Like, none of this shit's even worth it if you can't be healthy. If you don't got the time to go to the gym, you're really cooked. But, you can definitely make a lot of money not going to the gym. I know a billionaire who is now traveling the world trying to fix his health, but he optimized just for business. And again, I'm not saying that's good or bad. He just did it. And, he's now trying to get his health back. But I don't think that's the move. I honestly think if he spent an hour or two a day, at the gym, he probably would have been even more successful. Maybe he would have made a little bit less money, but I think he would have been more successful because he would have been healthier. He would have been making better decisions. But I think now it's catching up with him. So I do think he caught that disease of busyness, honestly, even if he was successful. Because I think you can be successful, but again, I'm talking 2026 nowadays. We ain't talking 10, 20 years ago now. This is 2026. You can leverage a lot of tools nowadays. You can be very efficient with your time. You can be really good at what you do with not a lot of people. There will be billion-dollar companies with like 1 or 2 people in the next 5 years because of all the technology and the efficiencies nowadays. I know what I would choose. Managing people's tough. Having a lot of employees is hard. Our business, we were a small team. We had 85 people. For the size of business we were small. So people wore multiple hats, the entrepreneurial spirit, which I think led us to be successful, and which is why we dealt with the, busyness versus productive thing. But we were small, but like 85 people is still a lot to manage. Imagine these big companies. That takes a lot of time. I would, again, no offense to anyone who has a lot of employees or anything, but I know what I'm picking. I would rather manage less people, but I do love working with people. But it can be tough sometimes, right? It can be really hard, and that takes up a lot of time too on the calendar that's not even in there. And so if you get anything from this video, I'll end it here. Just realize if you are busy, take a step back, take a deep breath, look at your calendar, really audit it. Think about, is this meeting actually going to get me to where I want to go? Am I being efficient with my time? Am I getting enough sleep? How am I showing up as the best version of myself? Am I showing up as the best version of myself? Can I take myself out of some stuff? Can I hire a different employee? Can I go invest in some new technologies? Can I hire the virtual assistant? Can I hire a real assistant? Start thinking about what do you got to do. Go read some books. Go watch some videos. Go hire a coach that can help you with this stuff who's scaled and exited a business. Because I think for a lot of people, that's the goal too, right? Like you want to sell a company one day. You want to be a successful entrepreneur. Get an exit under your belt, bro. Get an exit under your belt. Get some money in the bank. Then people will really take you seriously. Shoot, I'm not saying you got to sell a company, but trust me, people treat you differently after you do something like that. And again, I'm not saying I'm a big shot because, again, it wasn't all me. It wasn't even 1% me, I feel like. But it works. And I think that's what a lot of people are shooting for. But you got to be efficient with this stuff. You got to be efficient with your time. You got to know where you're trying to go. You got to reverse engineer. But so many of us are just caught in the day-to-day. And I'll end it with this thing too, because we're all working on 2 businesses, right? There's the business we currently have and the business we want to become. And most people are working in the business, not on the business. They're only working on the business they are now, not the business they need to become to get to where they want to go. So you have to do this stuff to get to where you want to go. And that's why most people don't, because they don't do this stuff. They are not efficient. They're busy. They're not productive. They treat the activity as I'm making progress, but it ain't doing nothing, right? Like if you're the entrepreneur and you're building your website and you're sending all the emails and doing all the marketing and you're shipping the product, and I get it, if you're a startup, that might have to happen. But if you have ways to outsource that, like you should be doing this stuff. Like take the pay cut, bro. In the long term, you'll thank yourself. Not just from a financial standpoint, from a mental bandwidth and health standpoint, I guarantee it. But not many people think like this, that we want the quick win. We want to feel like we're doing something when we're really not. So if you're busy, you got the disease. You got to cure yourself of the disease. I liked what I said earlier. Most people got a busyness, not a business. You want to have a business. You want an asset. You want an asset that can make you money while you sleep. Shoot, that's the best one right there. I'll save that for another video, how to do that. But yeah, 2026 is here. Let's not be busy. Let's be productive. Let's go crush it this year. I got a bunch of cool stuff in the pipeline. You guys should check out our podcast as well. Born to Be Great. Go look that up on YouTube. We're coming out with a lot of awesome episodes. We'll be talking with a lot of high-level entrepreneurs there too, so more business stuff. And yeah, I'll end it here, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.